What's up, guys? Welcome to X's and O's with Evan and Bros. I'm your most gracious host, Evan. Joining me at the table today is Eldad Sailor. How you doing, buddy?
Good.
It's a good Sunday. Obviously, we shoot this the day prior, so be ready for your viewing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And joining us through Zoom, he's back. He wasn't on Friday's episode, but he is here now. And he's ready to defend his points and call out EJ for his bullshit. Welcoming through Zoom, Mr. Broderick Olin.
I'm back.
He's
finally
back.
First, shout out Shane Bieber, 14 Ks in his debut, 2020 Cy Young. Second, EJ, what the hell are you thinking? Having Doncic as a better scorer than Harden. He's lucky I wasn't on that episode because I was about to clown him.
Dude, me and Eldad were looking at each other like, this dude's insane.
But then Tawson was saying some things out there.
Just the whole Tawson and EJ have really taken on the persona on the show as the Skip and Stephen A. Smith people, like just these outlandish, or Colin Coward really, because Colin kind of says some stupid shit. But yeah.
When you sent out the topics, I was like, damn, I wish I was on this show.
I know.
I was so upset I was working and couldn't make it.
I was telling people, and when I was promoting episode 8, I was like, hey, at the end of this episode, it gets heated between Tawson and EJ. Now, they might be spitting not facts and like nonsense, but they get into each other. And so there's this little rivalry starting to form on the X's and O's with Evan and Bros crew. And I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. Also, I want to make a correction before we go on. T.O. is in the Hall of Fame. An episode prior, we were saying how, and usually Eldad is the one who corrects me. I kind of just say shit, and I just wait for Eldad to fix me. But yeah, T.O. was inducted to the NFL Hall of Fame, Canton, Ohio, in 2018. So, T.O., congrats. In my defense, I remember it's like his ceremony's coming back to me. But to go off that topic, Antonio Brown still won't get in the Hall of Fame because of his checkered past. It will take him another 20 years because it took T.O. like 15. All right. On today's show, we'll be discussing the Washington football team and their new, that is their name. I can't.
It's so outrageous.
So good.
Is it outrageous or is it just like, all right. I don't hate the team name. It's a temporary name. I don't hate it, but we'll tackle it more in a minute. Speaking of new names, about teams who do it right, the new NHL team in Seattle, the Seattle Kraken, has been revealed. And that is the sickest, baddest, coolest, every adjective you can think of, a badassery there ever was when it comes to a franchise's name.
Release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken. I am a crackhead for life now. I'm so excited. Dope video. Dope. If you haven't seen the promotional video when they're revealing the name, look it up. It's a minute long. I highly recommend.
Felt like it was like a DC movie or something.
It felt like Aquaman was about to jump out of the fucking ocean. Yeah. Oh yeah. I get one F-bomb and I just used it about 4 minutes in. So here we go. Staying in Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks traded for Jets strong safety Jamal Adams. We will discuss the losers of the trade, what we think. Did Seattle overpay? Did the Jets not steal them? Did the Jets, hoodwink Seattle Seahawks? Or do we agree that it was a good trade, on both sides for the party? Next, the Tom Thibadeo, formerly of Bulls head coach, formerly of the Timberwolves head coach, but he ran them into the ground. He is the new head coach for the New York Knicks. We're going to give our thoughts on that. Is this a surprise? Is this shocking? There were some rumors about other people being possibly involved for that position who we might think could have been a better choice, but we're going to discuss that in a minute. And lastly, the NBA is back. We got our first weekend of NBA basketball and a preview of what's dropping the 31st. I'm excited, y'all. Will we agree? Who knows? But that is why you are here, the audience and listeners, to find out. Now, with further ado, Mr. L. Daddy Sailor, hit that intro.
X's and O's with Evan and Bros. Yeah. Okay, it's X's and O's with Evan and Bros. Of course, it's a talk show, man, talking about sports. The one and only Evan Miller, yeah, that's your host, doing analyzing with the side of jokes. Hey, X's and O's with Evan and Bros. X's and O's with Evan and Bros. X's and O's with Evan and Bros. Hey, analyzing with the side of jokes.
So, topic number one, the Washington football team. So, this was announced later Friday, so that's why we did not have it on Friday's episode. It was revealed, and it was the talk of Twitter. It was the talk of the sports world because it was stupid that they I think what made it stupid is the fact that they had this build-up, right? They're like, all right, we're putting a team together. Dan Snyder, Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron are going to get together and develop a team, and you'll find out by the end of the week. And then obviously the New York Times or the Washington Post article was published during that time, which was obviously horrific about that workplace environment that was going on under Dan Snyder's watch. But talk about timing. Now, obviously, I think they were probably sitting on it, and they saw that they were going to be revealing the name soon. They said, let's just throw this little wrinkle in there for shits and giggles. So if you haven't read that Washington Post article, it's like 10 years of basically sexual harassment in the workplace amongst, I think, 15 women, and probably even more, but hopefully, and a lot of those people have since been fired or resigned, so have moved on. So hopefully, and Ron Vera, I heard his daughter is going to be working there, so he's trying to drain the swamp out, and I think he's probably one of the most well-respected head coaches in the NFL. So hopefully he can do it, and I think he can do that. I think he's going to turn that franchise around. I really do. But the team name, that's what we're here to talk about. I don't hate the name. Unpopular opinion, I know. I don't hate it. It's been the talk of town. Listen, it's a placeholder. They saw that Madden was like, we're not putting you in the game. They saw that Nike said, we're not selling your jerseys, your merch. So they had to produce a product to be able to put on the field or to be put in stores. And so this was the safest option. They didn't want to be, could you imagine, right? Yes, the name, the R word, I'm not going to say it, but their name is historically, they're a pretty historic franchise, especially the NFC East, right? Probably the most popular division in the NFL. It's not the best division. It's probably the most popular. And this franchise, with recent scrutiny or whatever, they couldn't rush the name because I understand they probably want to keep the tradition. They want to keep that same feel, even though they're a winning franchise. Given recent history, I know they suck. Like during my lifetime, I think they've sucked their entire of my 23 years on this earth. But they have a history of winning. They have 3 Super Bowls. How many franchises can say they have 3 Super Bowls? The Atlanta Falcons can't. I can tell you that right now. So they have a history that they want to keep. That being said, I think this is a safe move. You give Nike a product to be sold. And then in a month or whatever, in a couple weeks probably, honestly, I don't even think it'll take that long, you release a new name. You release a logo, you release all of the marketing behind it, and then it gets, what if, they have this placeholder name, come week 1, they don't tell anybody. Game 1, they come out of the tunnel, sporting. I like this name. This one's been thrown around. Apparently, they looked into the domain of it. The DC Sentinels. They come out of the tunnel with their new unis, probably still the same coloring, but that would be, and then like the graphics flash on the big board. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So what do y'all think of the new placeholder name for the Washington football team? Broderick, you first, buddy.
I think it's kind of stupid, but I understand why they did it. I'm just imagining the announcers now saying, like, "Oh, the Seattle Seahawks versus the Washington football team," and that just sounds so outrageous.
Weren't they already saying that? Did announcers even dare say the R word?
I mean, I feel like just Washington sounds better than it's like, oh, Seattle versus Washington. But now if you say Seattle Seahawks, it's like now, oh, Washington football team.
So I would argue though, this is the norm in soccer.
Yeah.
Especially
soccer,
right over it.
Yeah, you just say the city.
The city. This is the norm for really, and so that's why I think it would have been cooler if they did, instead of the Washington football team, what if they did the Washington Football Club? Now that might sound too much like soccer.
That's just soccer.
That might just straight up be soccer.
That actually might be the soccer team there or something.
But
I'm not well versed in the MLS.
But it just has a better sound. Club just sounds cooler than team.
Yeah, and I'm currently wearing a Cleveland Indians jersey.
I'm about to say, keep the camera above.
I hope the owners and the stakeholders are thinking of a name now, because we will have to change our name eventually. I would rather be known as Cleveland something else than Cleveland baseball team.
So you do agree that they probably need to change the name?
Yeah, I think like Cleveland.
Now the retro logo.
Well, probably change their name.
Actually, I think Atlanta can keep the name. I think you got to take away the tomahawk. Just take all the imagery away. Imagery. Take all the imagery.
It's tough to take away the tomahawk though, because that's such like an integral part.
But
of
honestly,
team. And like so many of these teams that have like Native American, I guess, influences.
Yeah, but honestly, now this because I have more of a college football background than I do MLB. Mm-hmm. But when I think of the tomahawk, I think of Florida State.
Yeah.
And they're not changing their name because they have a not a pact, but they are the Seminoles have been, it's a former tribe in the area. They're very influential for the college itself. So they're not changing their name. They're staying the Seminoles. Now, do you think the Cleveland Indians could do something like that, where there's a local tribe that was there, and that way you can keep the feel? Obviously, you need to come to an agreement of, make sure that it's
something
okay.
That'd be like mutually beneficial to where, like with Florida State, it will help the tribe.
And,
because even if we're named because there are a lot of our nicknames that revolve around tribe, like a lot of our chances like Roll Tribe, or we're known as the Tribe. So even just the Cleveland Tribe, something like that. I don't know if that will be offensive to someone, but even just something along those lines, like
how about this,
keep
Broderick?
Still Native American.
Tribe shouldn't be offensive, but I'm sure somebody will find it offensive.
I'd rather be safe than offend someone.
No, and but that's our point with the Washington football team. Mm-hmm. They're just trying to be safe, but yes, the reveal, the unis are kind of lackluster to me. Maybe it's just that garnet or that maroon or whatever red it is. It's almost borderline brown. No offense, Broderick, but it's
like a burgundy.
Yeah, it's just kind of.
No, the Cleveland Browns are like, our colors are terrible, but I love it at the same time.
It's just kind of blah. Like the whole thing was blah, and I think that's what everybody's been waiting since like 2013, and obviously other individuals longer, but 2013 is when this movement really got started, and they wanted the name to be like probably the reveal to be bigger because they've been waiting for it. But in reality, they're going to take their time, and I'm in full support. Eldad.
Yeah, I think the main thing was it was such a disappointing payoff for the amount of time people have waited.
That's what I think.
But I'm really excited for the first announcer to just be like, touchdown football team.
And they hired the first female stadium announcer.
Oh, did they?
I think so. That's who replaced our longtime terrible person. Because he was part of the article but he resigned on Monday. But I think in his replacement, they've hired a first NFL franchise to have a female announcer in the booth. Which,
love to see it.
might get some heat for that one. But I mean, you know, I'm pretty progressive, but sometimes when I hear, I don't know, I like people that have played the game, calling games. Yes, if they have similar background, if the guy didn't play the game and the girl didn't play the game, then they should have equal opportunity to announce and call the game because, you know, the guy learns the game just like how she will learn the game. And also she could have a badass voice. I've never heard her. Yeah. I just want somebody with a really cool voice announcing these games. And how many times I'm never going to go to a Washington game, or Washington radio, whatever it is. So I'm never going to ever hear her probably speak or utter a word ever. So it doesn't honestly, I'm unaffected, so I don't really care. I retract my statement. Good for her. I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'm cool with it. But yeah. So Washington, come up with a team name.
You have time now.
You have time. You're going to be in Madden. You're going to be back on the shelves in Nike. So come up with something cool, something catchy, something we can snap to.
That football team apparel, though, might have to get one of those.
Yeah. I mean, there's endless marketable ability with this. You can do whatever, basically. They can do whatever they want. But moving on to a team that did get it right. I don't really care about hockey at all. I don't care at all. I might have became the biggest hockey fan in the world yesterday. Everybody knows I'm a big, obviously you see my table. I'm a big geek guy. I love Greek mythology. I love just everything, mystical, fake, sci-fi, whatever, throw it in there. And I am a fan of the newly named and logo. The logo is pretty sick too. And the jerseys are sick. And the color scheme is sick. The Seattle Krakens was announced yesterday for the NHL team. And their new Twitter bio is hilarious too. I don't know if y'all have seen that, where it's like, we have our logo, we have our team name. Now it's time to draft your favorite player. And I love it. So the Seattle Krakens, I think this is a badass name. I think we were joking show prior, and this has been thrown around. I don't know if this is real or not, but the fans are calling them the Crackheads, which is excellent, especially in hockey, because obviously you're psycho.
All crazy.
They're all crazy. So the Crackheads is just perfect. I think the logo is so clean. It's so smart. The reveal, watch the video. It's about a minute long. Trust me, it's easy. It had the tentacle come up through the S. And because originally I just saw it as a cool S. I see what but when the animation came through and you see the tentacle come up and then the eye is that. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That is cool. Big geeks up there, up in Seattle and Washington. Funny, this big Washington show. But so I love the Seattle Krakens. I think, I think this has endless possibilities. I think it might get people you're going to show next, probably episode, this is 9, episode 12. We'll get some Kraken merch. You're going to see me sporting it. You're going to get me a little Kraken hat. Eldad, thoughts on the new team up in Seattle? And where are the Sonics, by the way?
Gone forever. Reduced to atoms. But I love it. I mean, they also paid paid an homage to the original Seattle hockey team, the Metropolitans, who had a pretty lame logo. It was just an S, but kept the S.
Kept the S.
But I really, really like the secondary logo, the anchor with the Space Needle coming out of it. Yep. I like that they have the Mariners color scheme because that's a really nice color scheme.
Well, the Mariners, and the Seahawks all Seahawks have that neon green, but they kind of all have a similar feel, which I love. Like a lot of these city franchises don't really. I think Atlanta has a similar feel between the Hawks and the Falcons, and
like red and black,
and we were talking about that on last week's episode. So I like it when I see these, like the LA Rams and the Lakers look nothing alike. Like they are, like it still looks like the Rams are in St. Louis. So I like that they have a similar color scheme. It makes it feel more together as a unit, as a city. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean they knocked the branding out of the park. Now they just have to draft and get fan interest even higher. That's it. They did so well.
So are they going to do?
Fan interest won't be a problem. Like I think a lot of people are very interested in this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I really,
Evan, it's like it was tailored for you.
No, that's what I'm saying. These are the people they were trying to get. Like people who are like sports fans but don't watch hockey, but were fans of other things, and they're like, let's market to these people. Their
marketing team did a great job.
Seriously, they
identified who they want to reach and did a perfect job. It's like everyone who is similar to Evan will be a fan of this team.
Yes, like this again. I don't have a hockey team. I have no allegiance. My teams, and I usually don't pick. I'm not a guy who picks the city. I'm a fan of players. That's why NBA is my favorite league. But this Kraken team, it has that oomph to it that you can just, and again, it's based off mythology that I eat up, and a lot of people like me who are on the fence, like Broderick was saying, will eat up. It's tailor made for I to enjoy, for me to get into, and then for other people like me to get into. Keep going. What else are you saying?
I was just kind of saying those kind of casual fans who always been on the fence that want to get into hockey but never had a team or just didn't know how to get in. This is just the perfect opportunity. The way they've marketed it and just the color schemes are perfect. The promotional video is perfect. And if I had a hockey team, it would be Columbus. But even I'm tempted to try to root for Seattle just because it's kind of like an entry point for people who don't like. Columbus isn't Cleveland, so I'm not huge into it. Yeah, but whenever playoffs roll around for NHL, if Columbus is in it, I will always tune in and like root for them. But if I didn't have that like Ohio allegiance or just love for that state, I would definitely root for the Seattle Kraken just because this is such a cool team.
And you're right.
They did such a good job.
It's not like so with the Washington football team where they have a harder, they have to please a lot of older fans, right? With their logo. Mm-hmm. This NHL team is their goal. I think so. Washington's trying to please the old guard, right? That's basically their goal. The football team. This hockey team, I think they went into this rebranding or this creation as we want to get new fans. We want to get this new generation. We want people who are not fans of the league to become fans of the league. And we want those as our fans. And that's what they accomplished. Because all over Twitter, all over sports Twitter, the talk of the town was the Seattle Krakens. And that's a hockey team, which is, I can't name. Does Atlanta have a hockey team?
No.
Thank God.
To the Thrashers.
So
they're like Seattle's target market has to be 18 to 25-year-olds.
Oh yeah,
because all the people in Seattle will root for them just because that's such a good sports town.
It is a good sports town.
With the Seahawks and the Mariners, and rest in peace to the Supersonics. They need to get back at one point.
I mean, I think they will be back. I think either.
I could see the NBA expanding to 32 teams, adding one to the West and one to the East. So maybe put a team in Nashville and have that be a team added to the Eastern Conference, and then Seattle added to the Western
I don't
Conference.
know about Nashville. You got one in Memphis.
And I'm just throwing a city out there.
Big basketball state, Kentucky.
What's in Kentucky though?
I don't know, but
Louisville.
they love basketball.
Mm-hmm. I'm just throwing a city
Kentucky
out there.
Colonels.
It doesn't have to be Nashville.
Is there a city though in the East that like automatically you're like that they need a franchise?
The biggest one that pops to my head is Nashville, just because of the Titans, and they've kind of had an upsurge. So I feel like that's just a young city that will take on whatever team.
They have a baseball team.
They do not.
That's a tough sell.
So yeah, I would have to do more research on East.
Popular
East
one
Coast.
that 2K already has pre-made. Pittsburgh, what? The Iron Workers, something stupid like that. But Pittsburgh's one. I mean, I think Pittsburgh will always be a football town, hockey town. So there's some of these cities that are kind of harder to pitch, I think. Hell, I mean, New York just add a third team. Why not? I'd be kind of here for that. But yes, the Seattle Krakens are here. They're here to stay. And I'm going to show up next week with some new freaking merch, and I'm so excited.
It's time to get into hockey.
It is the time. Hey, they're coming back too. You know, it's real quick, not off topic, but obviously MLB has started back. Opening day was the 24th. And then the NBA has started back. But the NHL had their plan first before everybody. Why is it taking this long for them to start?
I think it's because are they doing a bubble? Are they?
I don't think they are.
I just know they have a lot of players because we were shocked by the amount of players they had. It was like,
since when has NHL had 2,000 players?
We were just shocked.
Let's win.
I'm glad you pay attention to that episode, Broderick. But yes, they have over 2,000 players and only 2 tested positive, which is great.
Yes, Evan, I still watch the episodes I'm not on.
I just want to make sure.
I'm a loyal panelist.
I didn't know if you were just a homer. It's fine. It's fine. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll get back with the rest of the show. Be sure, I know I'm about to say it in a second, but please like and subscribe, y'all. And go follow us on Twitter. Oh, and Broderick,
website coming soon.
Real quick, talk about the website.
I have one of my best friends back home working on it. He's done a great job so far. Once we get all the logos and stuff figured out, I still have to meet with him, but just kind of like the opening stuff for it looks great. We're also going to include links to everything on it. I know I'll be writing just blog posts and stuff, just extra stuff besides the podcast.
Broderick already has in-depth articles on, so we have our topics, but Broderick's gone a little more in-depth on his blog posts in regards to lists and things like that. And the dude's got a knack for it. Did not study journalism in college. I want that to be known. All right, we're going to
I'm an amateur writer.
He's an amateur writer, but a professional sweetheart. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the rest of the show. All right, bye.
Hey, guys, take this moment to like and subscribe. And also follow us on the Instagram and Twitter at Curbside Entertainment and at Curbside Network, respectively. You can also find us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to X's and O's with Evan and Bros. I am your gracious host, Evan, and joining me at the table is Mr. Eldad Sailor. What's up, buddy?
I'm excited.
Yep, you should be. Join us through Zoom, Mr. Broderick Olin. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great.
Hey,
got a good episode going.
Good episode so far. A little fun rebranding topics, teaching us a little bit about the whole marketing aspect of the sports world, which, I think people kind of discount sometimes, or they forget that, in the end, these are businesses. But hey, this, where we are a fan of one and blah of the other. So, staying in the city of Seattle, the Seattle Seahawks made a move.
Ooh.
or resident 49ers fan. So keep your booze till the end. The Seattle Seahawks traded for Jamal Adams yesterday. And now there's reports that I saw. It was funny. First tweet came out. The Jets are unlikely to trade Jamal Adams. They're still trying to work something out. This was like 10 hours prior. And I was like, all right, I've been seeing this tweet for like, I've been seeing this tweet for like 2 months now. Really, since he ever became a Jet, or at least when Adam Gase got there. And then obviously this past week, Jamal Adams, little history, just like basically trashed Adam Gase. Said he's not a leader of men. He doesn't really care basically about football. Just
there for the memes.
He's just there for the memes, and which is hilarious, by the way. Could you imagine any other kind of job where you can like openly like talk about another employee and then get like support from it? Like any other like career field, like I guess maybe we could probably talk shit about each other, but then people be like, why are they on the show if they hate each other? Just like why are they on a team? Why is Jamal Adams still on the team if he hates that team? But Jamal Adams was traded to the Seattle Seahawks for 2 future first-round draft picks, 2021 and the 2022 first-round draft picks, but also 2021's, is it third-rounder?
It's a third-rounder, and the Jets sent a 4th.
And the Jets sent back a 4th, but the Seahawks trade their safety.
Bradley McDougald, right? Yeah, McDougald.
Which I've never heard of him.
He's pretty good.
He's pretty good. I heard he's an up-and-coming safety.
I think he's kind of oldish, actually.
Twitter
maybe,
said,
well, maybe like
Twitter
28.
said he was up and coming. So blame Twitter. I think we're going to talk about the winners and losers and our takeaways from this trade and past trades and whatnot. But I think that this was a win for Seattle. I mean, I think it was a win for both teams. I don't think there was no loser here. I think kind of like how the NBA works, whoever gets the better player of the trade wins. I see some trades work out that way. But sometimes it's, there's rarity where a trade works out for both franchises. I think like Pacers, OKC, Paul George, and especially now that Paul George has left, definitely probably favors the Pacers more. But maybe Victor leaves next summer. Who knows? But I think this trade worked out for both teams. I think Jamal Adams, safeties have been kind of weird. I don't know how you value them, just because some people are like, oh, in a box safety, you can't really. But, I mean, when they won their Super Bowl, they had Cam Chancellor roaming around back there. And he's the definition. When you open in the box safety in the dictionary, it's Cam freaking Chancellor. That dude was dropping the wood. He was the reason why there was the Legion and he was the boom. So, and I think they do want to get back to that. I think Seattle in history's past has always been a ground and pound and defense oriented team. And so they want to keep Bobby happy. They want to keep a lot of their defensive. And I tell you what, there is no report yet, and Clowney's technically still Seattle Seahawk. If they keep Clowney, they got Clowney, line. Bobby, linebacker. Jamal Adams roaming around in the back end. Oh, my God. That's a scary team, y'all. I mean, they already were scary. I mean, I don't know if this vaults them in front of the 49ers, just because I still think Seattle's offensive line is garbage. Why don't they trade all their first-round picks for an established offensive lineman? I'm going to pitch it off to y'all, but I think it's a win-win for both teams. The Jets are going to get assets back. Hopefully they draft right with those draft picks. I've actually liked their past couple draft picks. I think they've done pretty good. I think Sam Darnold is left to be desired. I'm actually not a big Sam Darnold fan. He's out there getting mono, kissing girls at bars. So I get it. You're 21 years old. I feel you, brother. But Quentin Williams, obviously, Roll Tide, big fan. He traded Leonard Williams away. I don't know why. Maybe because they just don't want to pay him this year. So they traded him to.
Kind of looks like a good move because the Giants. He asked a lot of money from the Giants.
Well, there you go. So let's start with Broderick. Broderick, what do you think about Jamal Adams being a Seahawk? Do you think this elevates? Do you think it's a win-win for both teams? Do you think there's a loser? I saw a lot of people think, oh, the Seattle Seahawks paid way too much for Jamal. That was kind of the talk around town. But there's a point, and me and Eldad both agree, where it's like Seattle actually has not landed their first-round draft pick in the past couple years. That fourth-round pick might be more valuable than their first-round pick. So what's your thoughts on the trade? Let me hear them.
On paper, it looks like a win-win, but when you trade first-round draft picks, so much relies on if you hit on it, and I can't trust the Jets to hit on theirs.
Oh, he's in
and
the
that's
camp. That's the opposite camp that everybody's been saying.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the contrary. And that's coming from a Browns fan who just until recently we were so bad at drafting. And the past 2 years, we've been able to hit on our picks, not just the first rounders, but we were able to grab Chubb in the second. And we got Mac Wilson first, basically a steal.
It was a steal,
but
stupid.
But when the Browns made those trades, when we traded basically Julio Jones for a couple first round picks, we didn't hit on any of those first round picks. So it was a terrible trade.
You know which one always comes to mind? Cornerback, Oklahoma State.
I thought Justin Gilbert was going to be sick.
Everybody, the athletic intangibles were off the charts, and his playmaking ability, and he's a punt returner, right?
Yeah, okay. The potential was there.
The dude
but
was buns.
That's my point. You have to hit on these first round picks. So I think it's too early to call it a win for the Jets.
Denzel Ward, who's probably been.
I know Denzel Ward, but I could say Myles Garrett and
Greedy. Greedy's pretty good.
Greedy's pretty good. Joel Bitonio is great. So if we were able to hit on those draft picks earlier, then we would have won those trades, with the Falcons, and we had a couple others. But that's just the thing with the Jets. I don't trust them drafting. I don't trust Adam Gase the least bit. So we'll see if this is a win for the Jets. Seahawks got arguably the best safety, if not the best. He's top 3 in the league, I would say. That's a safe assumption. And
safety.
And so, yeah.
Come on, man. Yeah, I thought when the Steelers traded for Minka last year, mid-season, defense changed real quick, and they actually were able to win games based off their defense. Too bad that offense was mutilated by injuries.
And Myles Garrett.
But I think you're right. We could be looking at this past 2022 and be like, yes, Seattle has already been to a Super Bowl, and Jamal's been to 2 straight. He's on 2 straight All-Pro teams, and the Jets first rounder's not even on the roster anymore from the 2021.
Or we could see the Jets get 2, future Hall of Famers or 2 All-Pro players, and you're like, wow, the Jets won this trade. So it's with these type of trades, it's tough to see.
But also they will be most likely. Who knows? You never NFL
in
NFL
20s
season
or so.
Yeah, we can predict late 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably 28. And
I can't see the Seahawks being bad anytime soon.
No, not with his son named Win now. Congrats, Russell Wilson. Win Wilson, which is actually, I was thinking about it. Win's actually a popular name right now. But you see it spelled as WYNN. So the fact that they actually spelt it as Win is a little absurd to me. But Eldad, what do you think about the trade? Winners, losers.
All right. So for the Seahawks, it's heavily contingent on whether they actually believe this makes them a prime Super Bowl contender, which it's really tough to say. So this past year they went 11-5, right?
But the NFC West it's kind of like the NFC South. They are always flipping spots.
Yeah.
Whoever wins, who's their second place. It's super competitive. There's always people who are vibing. And now the Cardinals got better. They saw the Cardinals get DeAndre Hopkins, and they're like, we need somebody to cover him over the top. Maybe that was the influence. Keep going.
But the Seahawks went 11-5 this past year. But if you look closer at the score, at that record, they only outscored their opponents by 7 points over the entire season. And they went 9-2 in close games. So some of that is obviously you have Russell Wilson at quarterback. But before this season, even Russell was 29-1 in games decided by 7 or fewer points. And we've always seen these like close games be super variable from year to year. That's kind of what makes a team go like, you can go 12-4 one year and then all of a sudden be like 4 or like 8-8 or 9-7.
Yeah.
But on paper, it makes them really good. Jamal Adams is, I think, the best safety in the game. We've seen when the Chiefs got Matthew, their defense went from like 30th to like 14th and like
Matthew's
defensive
a free
value.
safety, right?
I think he plays strong because I think Thornhill was free safety, but then he tore his ACL.
R.I.P.
But I would say the Seahawks lost the trade just because we've seen these. I think they paid a lot for a player that everyone knew the Jets weren't going to keep. I think in the end, it probably came down to a bidding war between the Niners and the Cowboys and the Seahawks because there was a report that said those teams were trying to trade for him. Mm-hmm. But we've seen this when the Texans traded for Tunsil, right? Another thing is this gives him a lot of leverage in contract negotiations. So when the Texans traded for Tunsil knew that they had to pay him. So Tunsil got a deal that was way above market value. What? So you could be locked into Jamal Adams for like 17, 18 mil a year.
Is this back-to-back years that Seattle has made a trade before the season, like around this time? Did they get Clowney last year?
Diggs was they got a safety named like Quad.
Well, Quandre was during the year.
It was during the year.
Did they get Clowney before last year, or was it a year before?
I want to say yes.
I want to say it was before.
You think he's been there for 2 years?
It doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem like 2 years. Look it up, Broderick.
I'm looking it up. You guys keep going.
But so Seattle's always been buying because I think they do realize that they haven't hit on these offensive line picks because they even traded. They even traded. They even traded for Dwayne Brown. From the Texans a couple of years ago. They make a lot of deals with the Texans. Or the Texans just
everybody should.
Everybody should. And maybe that says more about the Texans than it does about anybody else. And he was a little older. He was good in his time in Texas, but he hasn't. That offensive line is still so garbage to me. I know people bitch and complain about the Cleveland's offensive line, but Russell's been like sacked more times than any other quarterback in the league.
He's been running around back there.
It's ridiculous.
Update, Clowney was traded before 2019.
So it was last year.
So it was last year.
I thought. So these are back-to-back years where they go and get that guy.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I really do because it shows that they're committed to winning
now.
That year. That's something Green Bay might want to learn. Especially when Green Bay was closer in the playoffs in the NFC Championship, and they both have their franchise quarterback where you have to go and win now. And obviously, Jamal's still on his rookie deal. So they're going to have to get, if they want to keep him, they're going to have to pay him. But this is my point, why they might have some leeway now to pay Clowney and keep Clowney at least in.
They need to.
1 year. I doubt Clowney. Maybe it takes a 2 year, but majority is guaranteed this year. Something like that. But this, and you got, if I was Seattle, you got to keep him out of 49ers. You had to keep him out of San Fran.
Keep him out the division.
You had to keep him out of division. And, everybody hates the Cowboys. So I'm sure when they heard that the Cowboys were interested, they're like, oh, this just makes it even better. And Cowboys have been interested in Jamal Adams for like 5 years now, it feels like.
And before that, it was
Earl Thomas.
Earl Thomas. It was Earl Thomas. I mean, it seems like the Dallas has been buying for a safety. I'm just draft one. How about that? Just draft one instead of drafting your eighth center.
They need to draft a wide receiver every year, apparently.
Dude, I tell you
load
what.
up on that offense.
Hey, I'm telling you, they want they're. I think at this point they're like, they don't want to pay Dak, but they really want Dak to do really well. So I think they're really banking on obviously CeeDee Lamb. I think, and we were talking about this earlier, Andy Dalton's in that system now. And I think you give Andy Dalton these weapons, I think Dak's better. But Andy Dalton went to like 6 straight playoffs runs. They were short runs, but he went. I like Andy Dalton's chances in Dallas's system, and with the Kellen Moore friendly quarterback system. I think they could be some, maybe if Dak says no and doesn't want to play or whatever. But back on the Seattle Seahawks, I think when you're in that division with the Cardinals, who made, I think, strides improved, and they were still buns last year. I think that roster was still like the least talented roster in the NFL. Now you add DeAndre Hopkins, and I hope they get better along the offensive line. That team's going to be dangerous. And then obviously 49ers, Super Bowl runner-ups. But my point with them is that defensive line. Your offensive line is trash. Who you going to block? Jamal Adams going to play tackle? Jamal Adams going to go put his hand in the dirt? Because you traded for 2 first-round draft picks and a third, so he better put a damn hand in the dirt.
The line is really what separates the two teams, because like the Niners offensive line, like the Seahawks defensive line, if they don't get Clowney, name a player. I mean, they have their first-round pick from last year, like LJ Collier, I think, but he barely played.
I just don't understand how they haven't hit. Because it's not like they refuse to draft them like Green Bay refuses to draft wide receivers.
You just keep missing.
They just keep missing. And that's where my point is, where they haven't hit with these first-round draft picks anyway. So you might as well go get the best player.
Yeah.
Might as well get the best player you can. And Jamal Adams is the best player on the market, even though Jets said he weren't on the market. But then he was on the market.
Yeah. I was impressed that the Jets got that much for him, just because this past week he called out like the owner, he called out Adam Gase, and he was right on both causes, but it was so clear that he was on the trade block. So 2 first-rounders, a solid safety, a third. They're gonna miss all those picks, but when you're a rebuilding franchise, might as well.
You need a store, yeah.
Kinda.
I mean, it's
because Jamal's not doing anything for their team. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, they still
change their chances.
I always make the comparison where it's like, are you losing games with them, or are you winning games with them? You're losing games, so they might as well just ship them out.
Well, it's like why the Dolphins traded Minka.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not competing anytime soon.
We're not winning. Did Minka a favor. He looks nasty in that black and yellow.
No, I want him gone. I don't like having him in the division.
I bet you don't. I bet you're just like, why does everybody keep getting better in the division? Just like us.
I don't like it.
There's another quick story I want to talk about that was reported over the weekend. This was not on the docket in the beginning, but I find it important to discuss. And so I don't know if they read this story, if they know about this story. So this is just kind of me on my soapbox. So over the weekend, DJ Fluker, former Alabama offensive lineman, current Baltimore Ravens offensive lineman, has been dealing with domestic violence. It seems like for a while now. He filed a police report. He's been in a relationship with this woman. They have a kid together for a while. And there's been past instances of violence towards him. So I want to take this moment and talk about how, because this has been kind of in the media about men's mental health with the whole Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith kind of thing, and how it isn't men's on these issues where it is mental health, domestic violence. We don't take time to look at the male's perspective a lot of the time. we kind of brush over a lot of, our feelings and kind of things like that. And so seeing this, he was punched in the nose by her, and she's been arrested, I think, since then. But it's just kind of, I want to bring light to it because, there are, not all the time, but there are instances where men aren't allowed to be vulnerable and sometimes are taken advantage just because, just like women, of historical persona, historical reasoning. And so I just don't want that story to not be, told and not be heard because, I think there are instances where men are abused. And it's hard. It's, you think it's, and I can't imagine the African American community, how hard it would be. But for somebody, for a man that's 6'5", 300 plus, to admit that he's, being abused, and you're probably like, how is he abused? But yeah, he is being abused. He's getting punched. He's getting hit, and that's wrong. For both sides, man versus man onto a woman, or a woman onto a man in any relationship, it's wrong. So I don't think that story should go unheard or untalked about. I think that story was reported yesterday. So I really hope that come Monday, we see shows like bigger outlets other than us talk about, First Take and Undisputed talk about DJ Fluker's situation. You guys have any thoughts on that matter?
I mean, I just agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed it.
Yeah, I just, I think, and again, that's not just about.
He was like bleeding, wasn't he? When the cops showed up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's, and when I'm not, again, there's probably way more women that get domestic violence happens to them than men. But there are tons of cases that go unreported because there's this stigma that, oh, he's weak. Especially, again, I'm not 6'5", 300 plus. And I bet his partner, or probably ex-partner at this point, at least she should be, is not 6'5", 300 plus. I'm just assuming she could be. She very well could be, but I highly doubt it.
You even see it like going away from sports, like with Johnny Depp. Like, even with smaller men,
see, that is not being talked about enough.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny Depp is a victim, and I don't know if this will get flagged on YouTube. Because we're throwing some keywords around that they don't like, but I don't care. So I want people on either Apple Podcasts and Spotify to listen up, because that is not being reported enough, that he is in a legal dispute with Amber Heard, who is a horrible human being. And I hope that he gets justice for the abuse that he has taken over the past few years, because people labeled him. They wanted to cancel him so fast when these first allegations came out. And then now that the tapes were released, basically Amber Heard admitting that she has physically, and I don't know about y'all, but Johnny already doesn't seem like the most mentally stable human being on the planet. So throwing the physical abuse can only add on to that mental aspect. And then again, we see Will Smith. It's become a meme now. But that takes a toll on somebody. Just like how it'll take a, if you hear, and I don't, you don't know what's their relationship closed doors, and they said that they were good or whatever. But in the same instance, when he straight up says in the interview, and I hope we all seen it because it's a great content, where he's like, I remember what I told you when we first started dating, like, I'll love you no matter what, through the good and the bad, right? And then, but in the same conversation, Jada's like over there smiling. And it's like, I wanted to feel good. And she's allowed to do her thing. But she was, and she basically said, you didn't, you basically fell on that promise. Can't do anything about it. So I went out and got mine. Her entanglement.
Will Smith looked like he was in a lot of pain.
He looked like he was in a lot of pain.
His words did not match his face.
And for someone being such an amazing actor, there's just some point where the emotions just
He was
override.
cracking.
Like he looked like he was in a lot of pain.
So that's the stigma that I want to destroy in society, because it is okay for men to have feelings. It is okay for us to express those feelings. And I think it's important to let other men know that it's okay to express their feelings. I think men, we still want to be like closed off, but no, in today's society, it's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let it go. And that's why I want this DJ Fluker story to be heard and to be told, because I believe there are way more instances like this that just are going unreported. So that's my 2 cents on it. You know, I hope that she is kept away from him, or they seek the proper help, or, you know, whatever helps him in the healing process and their family. I'm rooting for. But it looks like the Ravens are behind him and have helped him, and I think that's another great organization. So, you know, I hope nothing for the best for DJ and his family, and that, you know, his abuser, call her what she is, you know, seeks help too, because, you know, that's important as well. But yeah, that was my 2 cents on that. I just don't want that story to go unreported. Right, guys?
Right.
All right. Try to get back on a lighter note. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll get back, talk about some NBA talk. Tom Thibodeau, head coach of the New York Knicks, newly head coach of the New York Knicks, and probably not for long though. And then we'll also talk about the new NBA bubble that is kind of working. Some people are leaving. Some people have outside influences.
Dinner plans.
Magic City.
So we'll talk about that. And yeah, hopefully it'll be a lighter note than how I just ended this on. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, take this moment to like and subscribe, and also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Curbside Entertainment and Curbside Network, respectively. You can also find us on Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to X's and O's with Evan and Bros. I'm your host, Evan. I'm sorry we left on such a dour note, but I did think it was necessary to express that, because I don't know if people will. And I don't want us to not be that. I don't want us to talk about one side of issues that are up and then not talk about others. So I do think that's one thing that should not be brushed under the rug. I hope there is a thorough investigation done. You know, and then again, hopefully we'll learn more information. It was a crazy weekend, especially talking about Ray Park. Do y'all know who that is?
Yeah.
I know, Broderick, you should know who that is.
Yeah, I know.
Considering you're such a big Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
Ray Park is
Darth Maul.
Darth Maul.
Oh.
And so he had some crazy things happen to him over the weekend. A law that turned out to be not true. So I hope that works out. Do you know what happened?
No, but now I'm kind of scared.
Broderick, do you know what happened?
I actually don't. I've been so busy lately to where some news just slips right past me.
This is a sports show, so if I was doing my entertainment show, I would love to talk about this right now. Geekdom Kingdom is going to be coming out very soon. We already have some of the concept art for it, so be on the lookout for that. But Ray Park, I'll keep it short, I'll keep it sweet. He posted a video on his Instagram of him receiving oral from his wife.
Oh.
As a revenge porn kind of thing. Because apparently she cheated on him. And so people were like, oh my God, of course. And then his daughter posted a story, or there's a screenshot of her story that was talking about all these like abuse allegations. And then somebody like apparently messaged his wife and was like, hey, you know, are this true or whatever? And she said like, yes, please stop, you know, whatever. All right. But then there was another screenshot. These are all screenshots. And then there was another screenshot of a DM conversation with his wife that said, no, these are false. These are not accurate. Yeah, right. So then an outlet I follow, he messaged her himself, and he was talking to her, and she came out, and she posted on her story later yesterday, Saturday, that all of it's fake, all of it's false, all of it's not true.
The abuse or the video he posted?
At least the abuse. The abuse is not. Now,
Okay.
In regards to the video, people are saying, was he hacked?
Hacked. Quotation. Hacked.
Hey, there's a lot of hacking going on. Twitter, Barack Obama got hacked the other day on Twitter. So it's just Twitter mob, canceled him, without getting any evidence. But also, when in regards to like some of these situations, you know how many people cheat on each other in LA and Hollywood? Everybody's sleeping with everybody. So it's like, I don't think it's Twitter's. Obviously, if Ray Parks posts that video on Instagram, then it becomes the public's business. But just because, there's issues going on in their household outside of the DV part, then it's nobody's business. And he shouldn't be canceled for it. Shouldn't be canceled for his wife cheating on him and then posting a get back at you video. Anyway, so if you're curious to learn more what else I'm talking about, just type in Ray Park on Twitter. He was trending all weekend. All right, so moving on. Tom Thibadeo, owner of the Dinsdom Thibadeo. Tom Thibadeo was hired as the newly head coach for the New York Knickerbockers, and I think this is an interesting hire because it feels like Tom has been on every NBA team now, and they seem to get progressively worse. So yes, he was a good coach for the Bulls. Was he a good coach for Timberwolves? No. So he's like batting 500. I didn't even like him in the booth either. I don't really. He just kind of has like a mean look. He's not a nice looking guy to me. So do I think he's going to be good for the young talent that's over there? Because we saw what he did with the young talent over with the Wolves. Questionable. I think there's other options that they could have gone that would have suited the culture a little better. And maybe he's a good coach. Not taking any away from Thibs. He's a good coach. But I think there's other options in the Big Apple that would have made more sense, would have been a little more team friendly, because I've never been part of his practice, but there was all these jokes all over Twitter where it's like JR and Mitchell Robertson are going to be, playing a full 48 minutes and be drenched and tired. Like, get ready for sprints, Knicks. I'm iffy on the hire. He's a proven coach, but he's also not like one where I'm like, all right, and it might be the Knicks stigma. He might just be out in a year anyway. So this conversation could be pointless, to be honest. I guess good for him for getting a job. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Eldad, I'll go to you first. Well, what do you think about the newly New York Knickerbockers head coach, Tom Thibadeo?
We should start calling them the New York Bulls. Think about that team. So
Keep talking.
where did Joakim Noah go? The Knicks. Derrick Rose, the Knicks. Taj Gibson, the Knicks. Wherever Taj Gibson goes, Thibodeau will follow. Minnesota, Chicago.
Yep, that's true. That's a good
New
point.
York. It's a weird hire to me. I think there's better candidates for them. Like Kenny Atkinson. We saw what he did literally like 2 miles away with a young team.
Across the river, across the bridge in Brooklyn.
Thibodeau doesn't really... We thought when he became coach of the Timberwolves that he would unlock Andrew Wiggins' defensive potential or make Cat a better defender, and that didn't really work out.
Nope.
So I don't see how he's going to help develop Mitchell Robinson, RJ Barrett, Nalikina, Kevin Knox, the worst player in the NBA 2 years running. Consistency. I mean, on the bright side, Mitch might play more than like 24 minutes a game. I mean, he's going to be playing 48.
Tibbs.
He's going to be fouling out in like 15 though.
Yeah.
But it's a weird hire. He's obviously not going to stay there 5 years. I don't know if the Knicks have had a coach for more than like.
It is a 5-year deal, right?
It is a 5-year deal.
I think most coach deals are 5 years. I've never seen one that's been like, especially a newly head coach. And then obviously, like all deals, this will get renegotiated within 3. But you're right. I don't think he'll make it to 3.
No, I mean, 2 to 3 years. I mean, how long did Phil Jackson last as like the GM president? How long did
3 years?
How long did Derek Fisher last as coach? Like
all right,
half a season?
Talking about that, actually, seriously, that's funny that you bring up Phil Jackson because obviously we're young people. Weren't really around when we were around, but when Phil was winning the championship with the Bulls or winning the championships early on with the Lakers, I wasn't really aware. So watching The Last Dance come out, early May, late April, early May, watching Phil actually work behind the scenes and things like that, I have this whole new appreciation for Phil Jackson. And so my only interaction or idea of Phil was the failure he had with the Knicks, right? So when I was watching The Last Dance, I was like, how does this guy fail? His system was working. And it worked everywhere he went. He's a great motivator, great teacher, it looks like, great guy, great human. Seems like he has really good morals and standings. But when he was at the Knicks, I just felt like the media and like everybody was trashing him. Even fans of Phil were like trashing him. Oh, he's washed or, things like that.
It's part of the Knicks media. I mean, you got to be ready for it.
You got to be ready for it. It's the New York. You're in New York.
Brutal.
Especially, I think, obviously the Yankees probably own New York. But I think the Knicks are right behind them. I think, obviously, New York is a baseball town. But the Knicks, Madison Square Garden has to be like probably even 1A, 1B. I don't think it's that far of a stretch. I think even when the Knicks were like putting up 40 wins with Carmelo or 50 wins, they ruled that city. Could you imagine if they won a championship or if they were even close to being relevant? I would love to see the Knicks win a championship in my lifetime. Probably won't happen. I don't think they've won one since the early 70s. But Broderick, thoughts on Tibbs getting a job?
Terrible hire. I think this is awful.
Really?
Not a fan of this.
Really?
He's going to play his players like 40 minutes a game, drive them to the ground. That great at player development. You saw what he did with the Timberwolves. He's going to be out of New York in like 2 to 3 years, I think. I do not think this is a good hire at all. Players hate him. Other coaches don't like him. It seems like so many people in the league don't like him, and they still decide to hire him. I don't trust anything New York does. They've had 6 coaches in like 6 years or so. They run through coaches and players.
Big
like
talk
crazy.
From a Cleveland Brown fan.
Yeah, but we're talking basketball right now. we're not talking about football. But yeah, I would have liked to see Mark Jackson in this position, a real players coach. Players love getting coached by him, playing for him. Something I feel like New York would have liked to have. Like players want to come there.
How has Mark not gotten a job?
I don't know. That just baffles me how he has not. Tom Thibodeau, who this is his 3rd coaching job.
Yeah.
Mark Jackson has had one with. I know he's with the Warriors. I can't think of any others where he's had a job, but I don't get it. Like the Knicks were in between Thibodeau and Jason Kidd. How are these your only 2 candidates?
Yeah.
I don't understand what New York's doing.
Well, it's funny because if you think about it, they brought in Thibadeo the year prior, and who's known as a player's coach.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they kind of went that route. So I'm just trying to kind of play devil's advocate right here. They kind of went that player's coach route. I think you need to give him more. That's why my mom always asks me, hey, why don't you get in the coaching? Why don't you want to be a coach? You know why? Because if you don't win the first year, you're fired. You don't have a job. the coaching turnover rate's terrible. Now, sometimes you can argue that you're more likely to get hired again if you're a coach, because like Adam Gase seems to be able to find a job after sucking his entire, having a below 500 career. But like, how does a person, and now this could be getting into a touchy subject, but how does Adam Gase have a job and like not Jim Caldwell? Has Adam Gase ever had a 10-win season?
We don't have answers for it. We don't understand why these people keep on getting hired. I don't get it.
It's like they're in the mob.
I was like Jeff Fisher and Marvin Lewis in like their respective cities. I was like, why are they still there?
Well, even Marvin Lewis was putting 10-win seasons. Jeff Fisher had no business being in St. Louis.
No, he was
anymore.
riding that Super Bowl appearance for like
Literally
15 years, 8 and 8 seasons.
Yeah.
This is the year.
Yeah. Jeff Fisher had no reason being in the league. He disappeared off the earth. But yeah, I think I could see how this is a bad hire. I don't like the hire. I'm not crazy about it. It just seems like I think it's because we know with the Knicks
It's gonna fail.
it's just not going to work. And
But
that's
If the Knicks can get some star players, then it completely changes it. But for the team they have right now, I don't know why they went for Tom Thibodeau.
I think if they had maybe established players,
Yeah.
then it's a good hire.
Well, to their credit, they have tried like basically every coaching avenue possible.
That's
They
what I
tried
was saying.
inexperience. They tried Derek Fisher. They tried players coach.
Tried players coach.
Fizdale.
Now they're going to try,
Well, I
coach
feel
from
like they
hell.
always do it at the wrong times. Like they tried. Didn't they try Derek Fisher when they still had Melo?
Yeah.
And then they tried Thibodeau when like they have a very young roster that needs to be developed, that obviously needs some sort of coaching, and he's just going to play Taj Gibson. We know Taj is going to start still.
Tom's just over there, finally again. I'm about to be an all-star. All-star in
Well,
minutes.
Taj there's a player option I think attached, and I don't think they're going to retain him.
Oh, it's a player option or a team option?
Sorry, team option.
Oh, you know Thibs is going to jump on that.
If
his
the Knicks
guy.
are smart, which they have not proved to be, they're going to just clear out their cap space, try to take on bad contracts,
Try to
get the
trade
draft
Julius.
picks, and then trade for some stars. That's what I would do.
What stars are on the market? You see?
Well, you can get-
oh,
Well, you don't want to
See
aim
Zach
for a star
LaVine?
like now. You want to do it for 2021.
did you see that's a possible
Levine?
trade chip that the Knicks have been doing a lot of homework on? Little Zach. What do you think about that? Saying Zach LaVine, maybe Zach LaVine at the 2, RJ Barrett at the 3, or they had RJ run the point sometimes last season.
Yeah,
maybe,
they did.
Maybe put RJ at the 1, and then Mitchell Robinson.
I want to see Levine with the Hawks. I talk about this in one of my blog posts.
That would
but
be the worst defensive backcourt
no,
in
but
NBA history. But they'd be sick.
well, Levine has the potential to be a good defender, and the defense is already pouring off with Trae Young to where I feel like it doesn't make too much of a difference. But that's why you got to surround him with good defenders. It's like the Steph Curry motto with the Warriors. Steph Curry by himself is not a good defender, but when you
Throw
surround
in
him with
Andrew Wiggins.
when you throw around Iguodala, Thompson, and Draymond Green, you could hide Steph Curry and he could just play the passing lanes. You can do that with
Yep.
Trae Young.
Agreed, but also Steph's what, 6'2"?
He's a pretty good team defender to his credit.
Yeah.
Not good one-on-one, but Trey's bad team.
Steph still has size though.
Steph, yeah.
Trae is below 6 foot, I think. I have to get the measurables, or he might be at 6 foot.
Something tells me he looks shorter than he is.
But still, like he will
It's
never
like-
be that primary good defender.
No.
But Trae can still develop into a good team defender.
Trey Young is 6'3".
Shut
I'm
up.
telling you, he looks way shorter than he is. Yeah.
But back to the Knicks.
Guess I was wrong.
They need to just take on, because they've got the cap space. What they don't need to do is sign another trio of power forwards to
Yeah.
outrageous deals.
These
They just
role
need to keep their
players.
cap space for 2021 to where they have room to sign a big superstar, and they need to make some trades to get draft picks. That's so key. Draft picks so they can trade and get a star, so they're actually a good destination for another superstar to join in free agency.
So that's the thing that I think the Knicks' problem has been for the past couple of years, right? They want to be contending, but they also want to be rebuilding.
Yeah, but their roster does
Yeah.
not scream contending.
So right now, no. But think about last summer. They've always there's always been this talk how the Knicks are trying to clear cap space to sign, and they were supposed to, by all reports, get KD. Now I don't know if Kyrie influenced it. Obviously, I think a lot probably, but he, by all accounts, it sounded like he was going to be a Knickerbocker. I love saying
they're not good with the meetings though. Like you saw the report with LeBron wanted to go to New York, but they messed up the meeting so bad that LeBron's like, yeah, no way I'm going here. They need to fix whatever meetings Dolan has going on because no player wants to go there.
Just keep Dolan out.
Yeah, just
the owner
do
of
what
the New York Knicks.
Like OKC can somehow get all these star players to want to re-sign there. Hire someone from there, recruiting or management, something to make play because New York is such an easy place to market.
Is it Pinky?
I don't know why they don't get more star players. It's something going on in these meetings.
Who's the GM over it?
Presti.
Sam Presti.
Sam Presti. Sam Pinky.
You're thinking of Sam Hinkie with Sam Presti.
Yeah. I was combining the two. Presti's a genius over there at OKC. So, but the Knicks, I want them to be competitive, especially in the East. You know, I think, and you're in New York. You know, I think it's kind of ridiculous that you can't bring in these star players. So whoever you need to have in those meetings, freaking pay them and have them sit in the corner and say smart shit that
Just
convinces
don't have
players.
Dolan in there. Just don't have Dolan in the meetings. He's doing something wrong.
He's probably doing a lot wrong.
Yeah, he's probably doing a lot. Given the
by
direction
all
of this
accounts,
team.
he's doing a lot wrong. Staying in the NBA vein, we're going to move on from the Knicks because they're irrelevant now. The NBA bubble has kicked off, and it's looking like that there might be some wrinkles regarding some. So we knew it'd be hard to convince players. All right, you have to stay away from any kind of physical activity other than basketball.
Magic City
for the foreseeable future. And Lou Will, who is who will be in the bubble probably longer than any other team, most likely by my prediction. This seems to be this is your Clippers team. Montrezl Harrell had to go home for a family emergency. There seems to be a lot of family emergencies going on. Maybe there are some instances where there is some. Not saying there isn't, but it's funny that it's your Clippers. And literally the day before Montrez went home, there was that report that like that girl was invited by Montrez to join him at the bubble. So he was like, well, she can't come to me. I'm coming to her. Mama, fall down the stairs. So the bubble seems to be working because we reported last week how there were 0 cases so far reported in the bubble. But I think so they've been in the bubble for a week now, 2 weeks, going on 2. Now that they've realized they're kind of hitting that mark where they're getting a little testy. That one. Wanted that one. Testiculars is where I was going with that. They're getting a little testy in the bubble. How do they contain this for the next 3 months?
Well, I feel like the Lou Will punishment should be enough to stop people from going out.
Well, is he getting punished?
He's missing 2 seeding games.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of big. 2 of 8. That's kind of big. And with the Nuggets and a couple other Western Conference teams on their tails.
Well, especially now that
I don't think it'll make a difference, but it could.
They were going to play the Lakers opening, right? 31st, Lakers Clippers.
Yeah.
He's missing that game, which freak you, Will. I want that to be so competitive. Now I'm going to hear about how the Lakers are the best team in the NBA for the next months until they meet in the playoffs, and then Kawhi, the Claw, is going to lock it down.
Sure, he will.
But so, Eldad, what do you think? You think these players are going to keep testing the limits of the bubble?
So the first game the Clippers played, they played the Magic. So Lou Will the entire time was like, Magic City. And then I love the report. It's like, Lou Will must quarantine after going to Gentlemen's Club for dinner.
Disney was like, don't you dare say strip club. You better say he was there. He was
there eating.
He was eating.
But it's just so stupid when you're competing for a title to just do something like that.
Your team's kind of stupid.
This is where I see the difference between the Lakers and the Clippers.
Hey, no.
Stop your mouth.
No.
Did you not just
That's where I
watch
see the
all the
difference.
JR highlights this weekend?
And Waiters
like,
Island.
Just the mentality. Caruso missed his sister's wedding, and Lou Will played the Magic, and he was like, Magic City.
Yeah, but then Caruso fouled out in like 10 minutes. He might as well have not been.
Do you all see that image of Caruso? They're like, Caruso looking like an assistant coach. And he does look like an assistant coach. And like not even like high on the totem pole assistant coach. We're talking like one of the guys who, went to college, may have played. And then, no knock on Caruso. He's had a more successful basketball career than me. But this bubble, I guess you could see some of the teams who are more committed than others, depending on how the players act. That's a good point, Broderick, how I could see that happening. But also I think LeBron's a little ridiculous with his posts where he's like, all or nothing, scrimmage, this is it. Don't count me.
Scrimmages
I'm like,
mean nothing.
LeBron, people still think you're like the best player on the planet. I mean, like there are some that question it, but they're just doing it for likes and retweets and hits. Everybody agrees you're averaging the most assists in your career. You're playing with a gray beard. You are the best player on the planet. Everybody knows it. We just do it just to get views and likes to disagree. Chill.
I feel like he's still hearing Skip have him ranked as like 8th all time. He's like, I need to bump that up.
But even if
I need to be at least top 5 on a haters list.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lakers are in an interesting predicament because I don't think they have a lot of guard depth. And the guards they replaced have shown nothing but like who they are, which is I would love to party with JR. I would love to hang out with, I guess, party with both of them, Dion Waiters and JR Smith. But playing basketball with them, I might leaves a little less to be desired. So, but all these games have kicked off this weekend, and Dante Sabonis got hurt for the Pacers, which sucks. They should probably go ahead.
Dante?
He did.
Dontas Sabonis?
DeMontis. It was close enough.
Montes Sabonis. Hey, I'm not. Newsflash, y'all. I'm not Eastern European. Y'all didn't know. So he was injured for the Pacers.
Just the Pacers luck. Classic Pacers.
They really get screwed over.
Losing their 2 best players.
Is that not just the biggest Pacers things you ever heard in your life? And for a state that loves their basketball, I feel so bad for them. I feel bad. But we talked a little bit about it, but the connection between Jokic and Bol seems to be an interesting pairing that continues to. I just know I am now gonna, just like how Zion was on my highlight feed every day. Bol is just gonna be. I might get sick and tired of it. Way sooner rather than later, probably.
I feel like he's not even gonna play once
I
the
know,
full
I
roster's
100%
back.
agree.
Because there's nowhere in the rotation that he can crack. Because you'd have to take minutes from like Porter.
People
Durant.
keep forgetting these are scrimmages.
Yeah,
these aren't
It's a
actual
very
games.
summer league vibe.
It is a very
when I see
except for LeBron.
When I see a team
Locked in.
when I see a team blow out another by 30
Hashtag
or lose
Wash
by
King.
30, I just think it just doesn't mean much. Teams are just throwing out stuff. They're getting their legs back under them. When I see a team get blown out or blow out another team, I don't think too much of it.
I saw one take. I thought it was stupid. That it was like, hey, because the Mavericks and Lakers played, I think, game 1, and the Mavericks ended up winning. But they're like, hey, Lakers A team though beat the Mavericks A team. That's all that matters. I'm like, what?
It's like putting like weight on like preseason NFL games where like the starters play like the first half.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, Troy Daniels, keep eating that Orlando food. He's averaging like 24 points on like 50% from 3. Just keep eating it.
I think these scrimmages have been fun just because we've been so basketball. Hey, Paul George is looking good though. He's looking locked in.
He looks healthy.
But just going off of the games and hopefully they're learning what kind of works in the atmosphere. I'm talking about the atmosphere, not the play itself, where they get a little more. Even like LeBron's breakaway dunk, it was still missing that crowd.
Oh, the games feel weird.
The
energy feels low.
It feels like a summer league, and
it's such an adjustment period for those players that thrive off of the energy of crowds, like LeBron and Russell Westbrook. So this is a good adjustment period for those players that
but even
kind
for
of
us,
feed off of that.
Even as a fan watching it, I'm missing it, man.
Yeah,
and if this is what sports are going to be like, and I was watching some baseball highlights because it's a sports show, and I was watching some baseball highlights. I didn't feel that taken out. There's no crowd.
No.
I think baseball is a little different.
It's like quieter unless it's like something really big happens.
And so I think even in football, I think I'll be a little more okay. But basketball, y'all, this no crowd thing is going to be tough. All right. That is episode 9 of X's and O's, Evan and Bros. Would you guys like to say anything real quick? About 10 seconds each. Quick plug. Go.
Niners in 2.
Okay. Broderick got a quick plug. Remember, Broderick we will have a website out for CEN soon. Broderick's going to be he's heading that right now. So congrats to you.
Shout out my good friend Jack Rager. Give him a shout out. He's been working hard on the website. I'm gonna meet with him. Hopefully get it done soon, and we'll get more content out.
As CEO/creator, I have not seen this website at all.
I sent it to you, and you
sent me the blog post.
Yeah, no, that is the website. He just has like placeholders in there.
Yeah, so I'm excited, but we will catch y'all later. Play that outro.